What is up, math superstars? In this edition of Mr. Peterson Presents, we are bringing to you information about finding the surface area of rectangular prisms and cylinders. So in order to find surface area, and we're talking about specifically with a rectangular prism, so we're talking about a box or a cube, this is going to be the sum of all the faces of the solid object. And so what we do is we find the area of one face. We do that for all of the sides of our box. So area would be length times width. We find that for all 6 sides, and then we add them together. And so what we got going on for surface area, when measuring the surface area, the units are going to be squared units. That's because we're only doing length times width this time. And so when we do this, our unit, say if we have everything's in centimeters, it's going to be just centimeters squared. So to find the surface area, the rectangular prism has 6 4-sided faces. And so the way this works is we have our rectangular prism right here with the labeling 3 centimeters, 2 centimeters, and 6 centimeters. You can see when we unfold this, it has 6 faces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so we need to find the area of each piece. So we find the area, the length times width of every piece, and then we're going to add those together. We can actually have an equation to find the surface area of our rectangular prism here. So surface area is going to be 2 times length times width. So you can see we have 2 faces here of length times width. And then we're going to go ahead and add those to 2 times length times height plus 2 times width times height. And so let's go see this formula in action. So we're given our first example here. So we need to label our sides just like we did for volume. Let's go ahead and label length, width, and height. So our length is going to be 7 meters. Our width is going to be 3 meters, and our height is going to be 12 meters. And so let's go use our surface area equation here. 2 times length times width plus 2 times length times height plus 2 times width times height. And so for the sake of space, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one piece at a time. And then we're going to add up all 3 of these chunks together. So when we do 2 times length times width, that's going to come out to 2 times 7 times 3. And when we do that in the calculator, that's going to be 21 times 2 gives us, it's going to come out to 42. Now let's go ahead and do our second chunk. Right here, 2 times length times height. When we do that, we're multiplying 2 times 7 times 12. So when we go ahead and do that, 2 times 7 times 12 gives us 168. And then we're going to go ahead and do the last chunk of this. And so let's go ahead and do 2 times width times height. So we're going to do 2 times, our width is 3, our height is 12. When we do that, it comes out to 72. And now the last and final step, we're going to add up our surface area for all 3 pieces that we just did here. So let's go ahead and do that. 42 plus 168 plus, so make sure I hit the plus sign in my calculator. I'm hitting times by accident. Plus 72 gives us a total surface area when we are all completed, said and done, comes out to 282 meters squared. And so figuring out surface area, we're figuring out the outside measurements of this box. So now we got our next example here. So let's go ahead and label length, width, and height here. So our length is going to be 7.5 inches, our width will be 2 inches, and our height will be 4 inches. And we have our surface area equation here. 2 times length times width plus 2 times length times height plus 2 times width times height. And what we're going to do is we're going to take it one piece at a time. So we're going to do 2 times length times width. So that comes out to 2 times our length is 7.5, our width is 2. So that's going to come out to, when we do the math, it's going to come out to 30. Let's then do piece number 2. So piece number 2 is 2 times length times height. So let's go ahead and do it. So we have 2 times 7.5 times, and our height is 4. So let's do that. 2 times 7.5 times 4 gives us 60. And we're 2/3 of the way there. Let's finish it up with 2 times width times height. So when we do that, it's going to be 2 times our width is 2, and our height is 4. So when you do that, it should give you a 16. So now all we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add these 3 pieces together here. So we got 30 plus 60 plus 16 gives us a surface area of 106 inches squared. So now let's talk about finding the surface area of a cylinder. So the way this works is that it's made up of one rectangle, and it's made up of 2 congruent angles. And so all we're going to do is we're going to find the area of our rectangle, and we're going to add that to the area of 2 circles. So now let's go ahead and see what this is going to look like. So the length of the rectangle, a little tidbit of information is going to help us, is going to be equal to the circumference of one circle. And so when we talk about this, you're actually going to be able to see what it'll look like and figure out the area, circumference, and everything we're talking about. So here, when we're taking a look at a cylinder here, we have a nice little visual illustration. So what we're going to do is we're going to unfold it and then take a look at how we can figure out the surface area from the unfolded parts here. So we're given our cylinder. Let's go ahead and unfold it. So once we do the first step here, when we start to unfold it, we realize that we have 2 congruent circles, and we're starting to form a rectangle here. And so in finding the surface area, we need to figure out the area of each circle, and then also the area of the rectangle. And so when we do this, all of a sudden now we have a rectangle. We have 2 circles, but the length of this rectangle is the key to figuring out the surface area. So really simply, we could say that the length of this rectangle is actually the same as the circumference of a circle. And so the circumference is just this outer part of the circle right here. And so you can see this in our little visualization. If we start our circle at the edge of the rectangle with the dot being at the top, watch it roll. It's actually going to cover all the circumference of this circle here. And so if you're stuck in trying to figure out what is the length of this rectangle, it is equal to the circumference, because this circle just rolls right over top here. There's also a link for this website in Google Classroom. So if you want to play with this, you can go ahead and click on that link. It's a GeoGebra link, and you can kind of see how it rolls across the rectangle that we made. And so just to recap for this part of the video, so we have our cylinder. To find the surface area, when we start to unfold it, we have our 2 circles, so we find the area of both circles. And then we have our rectangle here. To find the area, we already are given the height, but to find this length across is the same as figuring out the circumference of a circle, because this circle rolls right across there. So to find surface area, you'll be given this formula for cylinders. It's a little bit complicated, so let's take it piece by piece. So first step is we have 2 circles we're going to deal with. So the area of one circle is pi r squared. And since we have 2 of them, we're going to just multiply all that by 2. And then we're going to go and add that to the rectangle. So the rectangle we know our circumference is 2 pi r, and so we know that the length of a rectangle is the same as the circumference of a circle, and we're going to multiply that by the height of our cylinder. So we have two pieces here. So this section right here, these are our two circles. And then this piece right here is our one rectangle. So you notice all we're doing is length times width, but the length is going to be the circumference. And then all we're doing is we're just going to add those together. So let's take a look at what this will look like. And so we have here is our cylinder here. Let's go ahead and label some pieces here. So some important information to know is we need to figure out the radius and the height. So our radius is just 5 feet, and our height is 15 feet. So let's go ahead and use our surface area equation. So we have surface area is 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r times h. So we got two pieces to do. Let's do it in two chunks, and then we'll add them both together. So for 2 pi r squared, we're going to do 5 squared times 2 times 3.14. And all we're doing is we're going to multiply these together. So we got 25, and then we're going to, this is 5 squared. Let's go ahead and multiply these together. So 2 times 3.14 times 25 gives us 157 feet squared. So we did our first chunk. Now let's go ahead and take care of this second chunk right here. So we have 2 pi r times h. And so let's go ahead and do this now. So we have 2 times 3.14 times our radius is 5 times our height as 15. So we're going to multiply all four of these together to get, you just see I'm just typing the numbers in. I'm double checking to make sure my math is correct. But that gives us a surface area for our two circles of 471 feet squared. And let's go ahead and add those together. So when we add these two together, it gives us a total combined surface area of 628. And we're dealing with feet squared. So you can see some different steps here. I just took it in pieces. So take your time with it. Make sure to start off labeling your parts first. So label your parts, use the equation, and do it step by step. Let's go ahead and try one more here. So we have our friendly can of pineapple juice. Once again, we need to go and label some parts. Our radius is going to be 3 centimeters because just like in our last video, the radius starts in the middle and goes to the outside edge, giving us a radius of 3 centimeters. And our height is going to be 9 centimeters. And we have this formula that we could use. So let's go ahead and I'm just writing down the formula 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r times h. So once again, I have two circles that we're going to do first for the area, and then we're going to take care of that rectangle. And so let's do our first piece. So we're going to take care of the 2 pi r squared first. 2 pi r squared. That's 2 times 3.14 times our radius squared is 3 squared. So we're doing 9 times 3.14 times 2. Let's go ahead and do that in the calculator. It comes out to 56.52 centimeters squared. So there is our first part. Let's go ahead and take care of our second part now. So we have 2 pi r times h. So we're doing 2 times 3.14 times 3 times 9. And so we have four things we're going to multiply together. Be careful when multiplying these together that you don't make any mistakes. So it comes out to the surface area for a rectangle is 169.56 centimeters squared, and we're just going to add these two together. So let's go ahead and do it. I'm just taking my time adding these numbers together. Gives us a total surface area of 226.08, and our label is going to be centimeters squared.